Hey guys, Scott here with a couple of things for you today. One is we're just going to talk about some general Guinness things, the three main styles of Guinness that are available here in the United States, as well as I have a beer dissection of the Guinness Foreign Extra Stout. All right, sometimes it's called Export Stout, but this is the Foreign Extra Stout. Now, I do have a video. If you haven't already seen it, if you go under my What is Styles, I talk about Guinness Draft, I talk about Irish Stout. I'll try to tag at the end of this at YouTube, or you can just go, again, look under my playlist, go under What is Style, and I go into the whole history of where stouts originated from. We started with porters, and then the roasting drum got invented, the hydrometer got invented. They were able to realize they can extract more of the sugary syrup for the wort and brew more efficient beers. So again, if that little 20 seconds there interests you, take a look at that video at the very end or under the What is Style, and you'll be a beer geek and you can learn everything you need to know about it. But there are three styles of Guinness that are readily available in the United States. One is just the plain Irish Stout. That is the Guinness draft can that you see a lot of times. It always seems to pop out around St. Patrick's Day around here, right? That one has the nitrogen widget. I go into this on that video, and there's pressure changes, and the nitrogen comes in, has that beautiful looking cascading effect. Then there is the Irish Extra Stout, right? It looks a little bit like this bottle, okay? Now I'm gonna probably have it pop over my shoulder when I edit this, okay? The label looks a little bit different. You gotta look at it a little bit carefully. Then the third one is the one I have here, is the Foreign Extra, sometimes called Export Stout, okay? With this kind of yellowish orange kind of label. And the main thing between the three of them is they all go up a little bit in alcoholic strength and then bitterness, as well as the malt profile and richness and boldness gets a little more intensified as you go up in each level of the beer. So again, if you see all three in the store, you're like, wait, they all kind of look the same, especially the Irish Extra Stout and the Foreign Export or Extra Stout, okay? Foreign is the key word there. It's going to go up in strength. So now I wrote a couple of numbers down because I get a little rusty with the numbers, and since they sound, even when I'm saying them, they sound almost the same, so I don't want to make a big mistake. But the Irish Stout, the Guinness one is about 4.3% alcohol, even though the style is about 3.8 to 5%, all right, for my BJCP numbers, the Brewing Judge certification numbers. Then the next one is the Irish Extra Stout, okay? There's no foreign in there, just Irish Extra Stout. That's going to be about, say, 5% alcohol, all right? So to 6.5% alcohol. And then the Foreign Extra Stout that I have here goes upwards around 7.5%. So you can see you sit around 4% with the Irish Guinness draft can. Then you hover around almost 6% with the Irish Extra Stout. And then you hover around 7.5% or so of the Foreign Extra Stout. Again, I'm going to have a picture of the can of the Guinness Irish Stout and the Irish Extra Stout, especially because the label looks very similar to this. And the problem is, and why I'm doing this video, is you go to the store, your local beer store, and you don't know that much about beer, and you see all two or three of them sitting there. They look very similar. Obviously, the can stands out because for the regular Irish draft, Guinness draft can, but the other two, the Irish Extra Stout and Foreign Export Stout, actually, this one's Extra Stout too, the Foreign. So the Foreign jumps out there. That's why I said I think they've changed the labels over the years. I think they used to be Foreign Export Stout was the style, but now they call it Foreign Extra Stout. So Foreign is the key word there. So they're going up in alcoholic percentage. The other thing is they usually go up in bitterness. To give you an idea, the Irish Stout, the Guinness can, is about 25 to 45 IBUs, international bitterness units. Then the Irish Extra Stout, which is the next level up in alcoholic strength, is about 35 to 50. And then the Foreign Extra Stout here, foreign again being the key word there, is 50 to 70 IBUs. So you can see the bitterness level increases. The other thing you have to take my word on is that when you taste them, like I said, the malt profile is going to be a little stronger, more robust, more coffee, more roast, sometimes even more dark fruit character in the foreign extra stout versus the Irish extra stout, and then of course the Guinness draft. So those are the three ones. And again, I'm going to have them probably pop it over my shoulder because I know when that's why I have even some notes. I don't a lot of times have notes in front of me, but because two of them actually sound very similar to each other, that you want to know what you're buying. Okay. But they're all what is going to be similar is they are going to be, very robust beers. The Guinness draft can is actually a little thinner bodied, and the body in the Irish extra stout is going to be a little bit more fuller bodied. And then, of course, the foreign extra stout, okay, which I have here, is going to be the more robust as far as more of a full bodied, and again, have a lot more darker fruit character, more chocolate, more roast, more espresso roast. Okay, so I think that was the main thing that I just wanted to make sure. So you go from Guinness draft can to the one that says Irish extra stout, and then you have foreign extra stout. They kind of go up in alcoholic strength, they go up in bitterness level, and the flavor components and profile is a little bit different. All right, so that's all I'm going to say about that. So what I'm going to have today for our beer dissection is the foreign extra stout one. Okay, the one that has the higher percentage of alcohol, as well as a little more robust malt profile to it, as well as more bitterness. Okay, so what I'm going to do is let's pour this bad boy out, and like I always say, and take a look at it. Now I got a new glass. I think I told you on one of my other videos, I've got I've had a few breakages. So I picked up my first Teku glass. I picked up some tulips also that are getting delivered, but I also have this beautiful Teku glass. It's Teku. All right, you can see the nice flare down side. So you have some surface area at the bottom. It allows for the aromatics to kind of get some surface area, and then it comes to more of a narrow point at the top to try to get the aromatics to kind of hit you in the nose. And glassware makes a difference, believe it or not, unless you're drinking like American lager, American light lager. All right, so I got to look at this head on this. We got about a nice perfect inch, a dense, I'll call it like a light brown head. Okay, the color on this is kind of a dark brown to black. I would call it dark brown. I can kind of see a tiny bit through it. It's definitely, again, this is the third of the tier of three from Guinness. I actually had the SRMs. To give you an idea, SRM is Standards Reference Method, and say your Guinness Extra draft, your Irish Stout is 25 to 40. This one sits around 30 to 40. So you can see the number range could be a little bit higher. So this is going to tend to be a little more on the black side, versus when you really look at the Irish Stout, the Guinness draft can, it almost looks like just a dark brown, and you can actually get some reddish hues to it. This, I'm not getting any type of reddish hue to it at all. Okay, but even the head is persistent. I'm even getting a little frothing, almost like we had espresso being made. I'm even getting, look, you can even see some of the lacing that's already occurring here. Beautiful looking beer, dark brown to black, I wouldn't argue. And again, nice, looks like very tight, persistent bubbles. Again, this is not nitrogenated. All right, so you're not going to get the cascading effect of it. And I actually think I'm not going to go down a wormhole with that. I think nitrogen sometimes is a little bit overrated in the beers. Okay, so let's take a sniff of the aroma. Again, so what we have, I'm sure I have it over my shoulder, the Guinness Foreign Extra Stout, the third level of those beers. Okay, it doesn't mean, maybe the best beer. You may actually enjoy the other two more than this one, but again, a little higher in alcoholic strength, higher in bitterness. Okay, so let's take a sniff of the aroma. This one allows me to really swirl it some here too. Okay. Oh yeah. You get I get that chocolate, dark chocolate, rich dark chocolate. slightly ashy, burnt, roasted notes, espresso-like, or just a real dark roast coffee or aromatics. Slight dark fruit. You get a little bit of like a muddled raisin, rum. I don't get much. Sometimes you get the woof of the aromatics of alcohol. I don't get that too much here, which is good, especially when I'm sitting around 7.5% alcohol. Okay, slightly herbal. I mean, you will get some herb. Hops are not very important. Any of these three beers, the draft, the Irish extra, and things like that, and the foreign extra. But you can get some of the typical like East Kent Golden type of aromatics, like herbal, earthy kind of aromas, but it should be settled. I definitely can smell a little bit there, but the chocolate and the roast definitely dominate, and maybe even slightly nutty too here on the aromatics. But really nice. I mean, I haven't had this one in a long time. Okay, so anyway, guys, cheers. This glass is great. Wow, it's interesting. On the front end, I was getting more, when it first was rolling down my tongue, more of that dark fruit character, almost like you had, those muddled raisin, fig, plum, but also with the chocolate that I'm getting too, and the roast, it's almost like you had kind of like a roasted coffee bean or a chocolate covered coffee bean sitting on your mouth. The body is definitely medium full bodied. What I mean by that, if you want to have a medium body and full, we're kind of medium full in the sense that it's not as creamy as your milk stouts, your cream stouts, or some of your imperial stouts, but the body definitely is more full than the Guinness draft can, no doubt. It's pretty highly carbonated, more than I remember. And again, this is using CO2, not nitrogen. Even though the nitrogen ones have CO2, there's usually a mix. But again, I don't want to go down another tangent there, but you get this nice, pronounced coffee, espresso. It's almost like, and again, I'm using the medley word again, a medley of, the chocolate, roasted coffee, whether even if it's espresso roast, with a little bit of dark fruit character in there. But it's just a perfect combination. And even just a slight on the aftertaste, as I'm getting it right now, you get like nut. You get kind of like a roasted nut more on the aftertaste. But it's one of these exceptional beers that you really have to try if you haven't had this one before. But I have to say, too, it is quite bitter. I mean, there is a substantial amount of bitterness to this beer, which is a lot more than the draft can, the Guinness draft can. So it's definitely I'm just gonna even say, assertive bitterness to it. But when you're dealing with beer 7.5%, you have that roast. It's not bitter as like, the 1980s Keystone Light commercials, right? Bitter beer face. The guy had this puckering face. It's not like that. It's just nice, I think pretty balanced for the most part, because when you have that perception of chocolate, there is some residual sweetness there. So you want some of that bitterness to balance it out, because you don't want the beer to be cloyingly sweet like some, milk stouts or cream stouts. That's sometimes can be a little cloyingly sweet. This has a lot more bitterness to kind of balance it some. So that's what's great about it. So, guys, I gotta say, outstanding. So anyway, guys, grade-wise with this, listen, this is one of the epitome of foreign extra stouts. Again, remember, there was higher alcoholic strength, the bitterness for the trip down to warmer climates, and it took on, and eventually it became tropical stouts that are now brewed in a lot of island nations. That beer got spawned off from this beer. All right, I got to give a good A+. There's really no room. Actually, it's probably my favorite of the three, without a doubt. I'd rather take this over the Guinness can any day of the week. It's just a lot more complex, more robust. So if you are liking a lot of imperial stouts, I would definitely try this one. Again, the Foreign Extra Stout. Here it is on the labels, which again, I'm sure I've had pop over my shoulder the whole video here. And that's it, guys. So today's beer dissection, I did a little bit of everything today. Hope you got a little information about Guinness beer in general, and we're talking about the Guinness Foreign Extra Stout at 7.5%. Until the next beer video, guys, have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.